What's up, peoples, and welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to talk about drafting, which is sort of like the first step in actually writing once you've done the basic world building and have a plot structure set up. And it's something that I used to really neglect, and I actually didn't used to draft at all, which caused me a lot of problems, which I'll get into. So something that I've heard a couple times that I really like is that the first draft is like telling the story to yourself. And I just think that perfectly explains it. You are still figuring things out and you go in and you're sort of writing it all down as it comes to you. And I'm definitely a pantser, so this really speaks to me and my writing style. So when it comes to a first draft, a lot of times I'll just sit down with a basic idea for what what has to happen in this issue of my comic or this chapter of my novel, whatever it is. I like to write a lot of different kinds of stories. I'll honestly just let it happen. I don't worry too much about whether it all flows together or whether every scene belongs in this section. Basically just letting your ideas become words on the page. And then the second draft is basically the editing stage. Some people, I feel like especially beginning writers, go back and they edit everything in their drafts as they go. So like the main mistake that I made when I first started writing my first story, I would write a sentence and then I would edit that sentence, and it took me forever because I was never happy with it. It didn't let me get into the rhythm, didn't let the writing flow. Like I would just be stuck there with one page in front of me of 7 neatly edited sentences that did not connect, that did not sound like a cohesive paragraph, and it was just not great. So I do really suggest writing a whole first draft, letting it be you telling the story to yourself. And then when you go through with the second draft is you fixing grammatical errors, making sure the tenses line up, double checking your spelling, and of course your punctuation, fixing all of that stuff, as well as just making the sentences tighter and cleaner. And this is the part where you can start actually thinking about if the story flows or not. The second draft is more like you're preparing your book to be shown to another person. Definitely don't edit each sentence individually as you go along, because that's a nightmare and it doesn't help you get writing done quickly, that's for sure. Then when it comes to the final draft, this really depends on the person. So basically the final draft is when you're done all of the editing, the writing, all of that stuff, it's ready to show to people. And I think that this takes different amounts of drafts to get to for different people. Like for me and my comics, it will really just be like, I think I've done, maybe I'm on my 3rd draft now, I believe. So the first draft, I wrote it all out. The second, I finalized all the edits that I had done. And then now I'm on the 3rd draft, which is the one that's sort of gonna be my final draft, I believe, where I've edited and changed some of the scenes, and I'm just making sure that it all works, and I'm reading it as a larger whole to make sure that everything flows nicely. Of course, there were little edits that I made along the way. Like I've probably edited all of this stuff at least 6 times by now, but I just didn't really keep track. I just know that the finished products that I'm currently going through and double checking all the spelling and grammar in and such, they're labeled 3rd edition, so that's all I've got to go by. And then I know that some people will do more than that, some people will probably do less than that. Maybe 3 is the norm. I usually see this as a 3-step process. Comment down below how many drafts you usually use, because I'm really curious. But yeah, the final draft, it really depends how many drafts you want to go for with this. It just basically means keep writing drafts and keep polishing up until you're happy with it, until you feel satisfied that you cannot make it any better than it already is. Oh, this is not sponsored, but I would like to share with you actually a tool that has really helped me with my drafting. So this is a free write. I got it for Christmas last year. As I said before, I used to write every single sentence and then edit the sentence immediately after. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't because I thought that was right. It was just because I would feel like,
well, there's a flaw in it and I should go back and fix it.
Having this, which really doesn't let you go back and edit very easily, it's possible, but it's not easy. And I used to try and do it when I first got this. I was like, my number one flaw with this is that I can't edit on it. And then I realized that was its number one quality that I should be excited about. Because now that I have it, I can't really go back and edit sentence by sentence. Instead, I'm almost forced to sit down and just write and not worry about the grammatical errors, not worry about the punctuation that I missed, just get it all out on the page. And this has made me such a better writer, such a faster writer. It really lets me get into the zone. If you'd be interested in my sort of review of the free write, let me know down in the comments. I can do one for you. That would be totally happy to do that. But but I don't want to turn this video into that necessarily. So yeah, basically, recap. First draft is telling the story to yourself. The second draft is basically your first edits and cleaning it up so that it flows nicely and is a cohesive story. And then you just keep doing as many drafts as you need until you reach the final draft, which is the point that you are happy with your writing. Now, I really hope that this video helped you out. I think that if I had known about drafting when I first started writing, it would have really changed the game for me, because for some reason I thought that every time I sat down and wrote, I had to have a finished product by the time that I got up, and that's silly. I mean, writing is a long process. There's a reason that books take years to create. And, yeah. I never know how to end these. I say that in every video. Bye, I guess. I'll figure out a catchphrase for the end eventually, I promise. I just don't have one yet.